bets here. Just getting set up here as well on the different pages. I want to retweet this out, and then we will get going very, very quickly here. But I hope everybody's excited about the game. It's going to be a fantastic day for some football. Hopefully we get a very competitive Super Bowl, and I'm just going to retweet this out right now and get this set up. So in good shape there. All right, perfect. Looks like we're in good shape to go. All right, so prop bets today. Look, first thing about prop bets, if there are props that you are betting like player yardage and you feel you have an edge, you could treat those similar to a game bet where you're putting a unit, a normal amount on that bet. There are plenty of other props that are a little more on the fun side, higher payouts, bigger risk. I put very, very little on those props. Let's just use round numbers. Let's say I'm just putting $100 on a bet. Well, on some of these prop bets, it might be $5. So I'll tell you the props that are more like the fun props, but the ones that I feel have a similar advantage to what I would be doing if I were betting the point spread of the game. That's a completely different point that we need to talk about. So first of all, let's talk about the point spread of this game. And the line has not moved much. The line in this game is Rams 4, and it's over and under is 48.5. The line had a couple times where it ticked a half a point in either direction, but that was absolutely the anomaly. It's been 4, and the 48.5, that has stayed firm throughout. Now, in this game, both teams, I do expect them to run more than we might expect. I believe that both teams are going to drop zone defense, 7, 8 players into zones at times. Rams more 7 men, and I think we'll see a little more 8-man drop when we see Cincinnati. So I do think both coaches, especially the Rams, if they have that look, they are going to run a little bit more. So I think that shortens the game. I also think both teams' ability to play zones are going to keep enough plays in front of them that we're not going to see a ton of explosive plays. And that's important for a game like this, because if there are big explosive plays, again, it sustains more drives, field goals. And so we'll see more of the like of that. Betting in under is never fun, because you always want points scored. And of course, if a game goes to overtime, that sabotages it. If there's a bigger lead in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden we see some fireworks late, it can sabotage it. But I do, one of X, 101X, you're very welcome. And Tim, good to see you as well. Excellent. See, you guys are here, and it is going to be a great game. So as we look at this, I do like the under for those reasons. I do believe a little more conservative, and I think if either team gets a lead late, they will be content to run the ball more. We've seen McVay do that to a fault. McVay did that with Tampa Bay, and it almost cost him a game. I believe they were 27-3, maybe 27-6 in that game, and he almost ran the ball to a fault because you couldn't run on Tampa when they were expecting it. But if they were to run in this game, I think they could get traction, because you can run to the outside. I really don't want to challenge DJ Reader on the inside, but I'm very happy running outside zone, which the Rams do very well in getting Akers. And Darrell Henderson is going to be active here, and he's been out about 6 weeks with a sprained knee, so that seems like a normal timeline to come back. So I don't expect to see a lot of Sony Michel. I could be wrong, but I do think Henderson is an excellent change of pace to Akers, because he's speedier. And I think you go from the guy who's a little bit more Akers is the grinder, all right, but more so than Henderson. So I do think they can get a 1-2 punch there. So I think that we're going to look at that and say, they can run the ball if they have to, and they won't, like the Buccaneers game, go 3 and out, fumbling out, and this and that. So that is why I really like the under. I don't think it's going to go monumentally under. It certainly could be a very low-scoring game. My prediction on this game is 27-19, which is 46 points. So again, that's 3 points from the over. But I think that is like the upward side potential too, because I do think most scenarios this game shakes out lower. Now, in terms of betting the spread here, 4 is a pretty solid line. It's clearly not near a touchdown, but it's more than a field goal. So some people might be happier, if you like the Rams, going with the money line. Certainly, if you like the Bengals, if you're going to pick the Bengals, you might go money line there too, because if you think they're going to cover, there's probably an almost closer chance that they win the game outright, because you're going to, the odds of them losing by 1-4, fairly small, but they could just win that game. The most important thing I tell fans of both teams, look, I break these things down all the time. And what I always tell you, if they play 10 times, this is what will happen. And I hold firm on this game that if they play 10 times, that the Rams would win 7. But that means Cincinnati wins 3. Today could be one of those three. So I'm never saying, man, the Rams, it's a lock. There are no locks. The Jaguars could be playing today, and the Jaguars could have a scenario where they would beat either team. That's the NFL. These teams, 7-3, is not terribly far apart. It's closer than it sounds. But I do think from the talent standpoint. So let's talk about some of these prop bets here. So again, I already went. I'm going with the Rams minus the 4, and I am going with the under on this game. Definitely like those. Now, in terms of the props, I really am a little apprehensive with the passing yardage for the quarterbacks. Burrow is at 273. These numbers change by book a little bit. Matthew Stafford's at 281. To me, those numbers are very fairly set. I don't see many scenarios where there's this big 320-yard game out of a quarterback because of the way the defenses are going to play the zones, and the Rams are going to get a lot of pass rush. So that's going to make it very difficult. So that's important to understand as well. Now, those yardage numbers, though, are good because they could compile those numbers. So I am laying off of those altogether. Now, Joe Burrow's pass attempts at 36.5 is interesting because if the game is lower scoring, there'll be less plays because they'll run the ball more, and that shortens it. And then anytime the Rams get a sack, that's a pass attempt that doesn't happen. But again, I think the number's priced closely. I would give a slight lean to the under on Joe Burrow, but again, I would not put much in the way of a unit on that. That would be a very small bet at most because, again, many scenarios exist here. And if they go to the screen game heavily, which I mentioned this in my different breakdowns throughout the week, the best way for Cincy to attack will be the screen game because not only will it mitigate the pass rush, but the Rams are bottom 10 against receiving backs. So there's a clear advantage. So let's just piggyback off of that right away, and let's go right over to Joe Mixon. I know in the AFC Championship game, Joe Mixon was out-targeted by Samaje Perine. That killed me on that prop because Mixon had been seeing the overwhelming majority of receiving back work, and he didn't see it in that game. He was effective when he had the screens, but he didn't have enough targets. It's the Super Bowl, and I think that they do view Perine as a better pass-protecting back. But I think in this game, knowing the pass rush advantage the Rams have, I think the Bengals will be more inclined to screen on early downs because the Rams are very good against the run as well. So they don't want to do what they did in the AFC Championship game. I know they won, but they ran on early downs a little bit too often, and they put themselves in bad down and distance situations. You can get away with that against the Chiefs. If you go into an obvious passing down against the Rams, that's problematic because they have 3 excellent pass rushers who can bracket you in. So again, Mixon as a receiver. Now, his over on the receptions is 3.5. Yardage 26.5. It vacillates depending on the book again. I think I like the yardage a little better because I think the yardage the Rams have given up, and I said they're bottom 10 against receiving backs. I'm more confident if he gets 3 catches of getting the 30 yards. But that 3.5 number is very tight because it's going to be one of those, he could get 5 or 6 catches, but that 3.5, it's still high enough. I think Mixon can make some things happen there. So I like that. Now, Cam Akers, polarizing in this game. He did not do well against the 49ers because he split more work with Sony Michel. 49ers were the best run defense in the NFL in the second half of the season. And then the prior game against Tampa Bay, he was getting carries in what became obvious grind out the clock situations. We had stuffed at the line. We had fumbles. Didn't work out. We go back to that Arizona game. He posted about 90 combined yards in that game, but he had a couple long runs called back the penalty, and he looked dynamic. The matchups were bad. Now, I know people have seen Cincinnati, and they've done very well in the playoffs, and DJ Reader is a beast inside. But we mentioned earlier, outside zone run. They want to run the ball. Trey Hendricks is a great pass rusher, but you like to run the ball at him because he's not a phenomenal run defender. You could compromise him that way. Now, Sam Hubbard on the other side is a pretty good run defender, but I think with the blocking scheme they run on the outside, I do like Cam Akers over the rushing yardage here. Different numbers. Again, I see him at 62.5 right now. I do like the over on that. I think he will get 15-plus carries here, and I think there will be 1 or 2 longer plays. Remember, we saw it against the Chiefs. They dropped 8 men into coverage, and the Chiefs were running at 6 yards a pop, whether it was Edwards-Helaire, whether it was McKinnon. They were heavily running the ball with great success until Andy Reid decided, well, I want to throw the ball. Cost them a game because they could have consistently continued to get that 6 yards a pop, move the chain, scored, but they had to go with their philosophy, which is passing the ball. Sean McVay, we've seen all season. He wants to run the ball. He wants to be balanced. And if the defense is going to give him drop 8, even drop 7, he'll take those chances. Now, people saw that Akers' workload went down a little bit after the fumble game against Tampa Bay. Look, he wasn't a fumbler in his rookie year when he played. It was an anomaly. I believe that he will be the primary ball carrier here. It's a Super Bowl. Sean McVay wants his best on the field, and Cam Akers is easily his best back. He wants him to be the workhorse back for him. So I like him over the rushing yardage here. Now, at receiver, these get a little bit tricky. Now, Jamar Chase is obviously going to be the target of the defense, and he could still have a great game. He's Jamar Chase, right? But ultimately what we're probably going to see is the Rams play a lot of zone. I know everybody wants to see Jalen Ramsey lined up on Jamar Chase, but based on their zone principles, it's not extremely likely to happen a lot, even if Ramsey's lined up across from Chase. If Chase motions and it's zone, well, Ramsey's not going across the formation with them. If he runs the route on the same side of the field, then we'll see them locked up. But what the Rams are likely to do is they don't want to get burned by Chase. So they are going to have some safety help over the top. They're going to bracket those sides. They're going to make Chase work for his yardage. And that's 78.5 yards. That's a really aggressive number. And remember this, even if they want to go downfield, the Rams pass rush may not give Burrow much time to connect that. So I think that I'm laying off the Jamar Chase total because it's too close to call. I always, in this scenario, like T. Higgins over 67.5 yards. And here's why. T. Higgins is very, very big, very fluid, and he's very good in traffic along with run after the catch ability. And we know the defensive attention is going again to be slanted toward Chase because of the game breaker ability. T. Higgins could beat you, but he's typically not the guy that's going to take the 80-yard pass to the house and take care of it that way. Edgar, I agree with you. The Rams are probably winning this one. So I do think T. Higgins over 67.5 yards is a very strong bet because should he even catch 5 passes here, the ability with his run after the catch gives him a great opportunity. So I like that. Now, Cooper Kupp, 106.5 yards. But it's what we expect. That's what he does. Hey, Scott, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. So Cooper Kupp, we have to understand this. Everybody understands. Well, hey, the Bengals are going to come with a game plan to try to slow down Cooper Kupp. Well, of course they are. Everybody's done that for 19 weeks. Nothing's changing here. What the Rams do with Cooper Kupp, they line him up frequently in a 3-man bunch on one side of the formation. And when that happens, they get him off in a free release. But the best thing about Cooper Kupp is he runs what we call these choice routes. He reads the defense, finds out where the leverage of the defense is, and he runs his route away from that. Now, Matthew Stafford is an extremely intelligent quarterback as well. He reads the same thing Kupp reads, and what they do is they find that together, and the mind meld they have allows them to connect. Now, Cooper Kupp had a 3-game stretch, which ended in the beginning of the playoffs where he had 7 targets in 3 straight games. Very low number. It was double digits most of the season. I don't see the Rams going into the Super Bowl saying we're going away from Cooper Kupp. He got them here. The whole team did, but Cooper Kupp has been the man. So I think Cooper Kupp is going to be the one that's going to see double-digit targets. If he gets double-digit targets, he goes over 100 yards. He can find the spots in the zone that run after the catch, and Stafford leads him forward. Now, another prop I like, Van Jefferson over 32.5 yards. So Van Jefferson, he's had a bit of a knee issue, but he's played 90 and 87% of the snaps in the last 2 games. And so that's important to understand. He's playing, and his average depth of target is nearly 17. Now, Cincinnati is going to have their hands full with Kupp and Odell Beckham. Van Jefferson is largely a deep threat. Now, Sean McVay likes to use some jet action. He likes to use some play action. And he often will set up downfield plays, with Van Jefferson being the deep threat and the safeties most likely worried about OBJ or Cooper Kupp. Van Jefferson could get that 32 yards in one play. If he gets 2 receptions, he's going over that most likely. And I do think that's the case. His targets have been low in the last few games, but I think these last 2 weeks off, my guess is that Van Jefferson's knee is much closer to 100% than it was before these last couple of games. So, oops, got to turn my alarm off here. All right, hopefully we're good. We're still live. Good. My alarm gives me issues here. All right, let's see if we're going to be back here. Let me get this back on here. Hang on a second. All right, let's see. I think we're still live here. So hopefully, I think I'm skipping on Instagram because my alarm went off for my Sirius XM show. I'm going to keep rolling here. If I'm lost on Insta, I'm going to apologize for that in advance. Hang on. See if I can go right back. Guys, give me a second here. I'm going to quickly go back here, and I'm going to end that. And I'm going to restart it. I'm just going to give me 1 second. I'm going to restart this video for the Instagram followers, and then I will be right with you guys. So please be patient. I apologize for this little breach in the timing of the show. Go back on here, go live, and go live. All right, we're good. All right, so now in terms of fun props, there are a few fun props I like here. And first of all, I like the Rams to win by 7 to 12 points. It's a very close range, 7 to 12, but you get an excellent payoff for that. In most of the scenarios where I ran this game out in my mind, I have the Rams winning. Hey, Sean, good to see you. And so I do think in my mind that's a very, so again, you're not putting a unit on it. You're putting a very small amount of fun bet. It's a good payoff. Rams by winning by 7 to 12 points. Also, another one here, very small amount, fun bet, and anytime defensive special teams touchdown in this game by either team. Very good payout on that one. And I like that because especially if the Rams get a lead and if the Bengals have to become one-dimensional, that Rams pass rush could definitely cause issues to be a fumble 6, a pick 6 because of the pressure. There are a lot of scenarios where that could happen. So that's a fun bet where you're putting a small bit on it. Now, other bets which are not full unit bets, but they're ones that I think have solid rationale behind them. I do believe there will be pass attempts by more than 2 players in this game. That's one I really like. Johnny Hecker, the punter's throwing passes. Odell Beckham has. Cam Akers was a quarterback in his earlier life before the NFL. And I believe that there will be, and in the Super Bowl, with defenses who over pursue, coaches do like to get those trick plays in there. So I do like that bet of pass attempts by more than just the 2 quarterbacks. Now, the juice has gone up on this next one. I initially got this at plus 110. The Rams to record 4 or more sacks. That, to me, is a fairly easy one because of the advantage they have across the line. The Rams are not going to be able to have to deal with the Bengals sliding protection. Well, you slide to Donald, and you got Floyd and Miller. You can't do anything because of the 3 of them. Sean, let's see, haven't won one bet all year. Man, we're going to get you in here, man. We got to get you going. All right, so I do. Now, the juice is way up on that Rams 4 or more sacks. That's up, but it's still a very, very strong bet. Also, I love the bet where the Rams get more first downs than the Bengals. Basically, the Bengals are more of a big play team when they're hitting things right. They're not the team that's going to run these 12 and 15 play drives and matriculate the ball down the field. They'll have more breakdowns when that happens. So they're more of the bigger play team. Whereas the Rams are very happy to run underneath and run the ball and have success in that manner. So I think regardless of how the game shakes out, I think the Rams do convert more first downs here. Also, I love Cincinnati over 1.5 field goals. Evan McPherson has kicked 4 field goals in each of the playoff games. To think he's not going to kick 2 in this game because they break down frequently in the red zone and they'll use him on long field goals. So even if those drives where they're not really in field goal range, he's there. He's going to kick them. Got a question from Tommy. Higbee injured. No, so Kendall Blanton will play. It's a downgrade. But Kendall Blanton, he took over for Higbee in one of the regular season games and then last week for almost the whole game, and he had similar production to Higbee. They don't use Higbee on explosives. They use him to read voids in the zone. And in the 2 games Blanton's played, he's taken the same advantage of those. Higbee was typically between 40 and 55 yards in most games. And what we saw from Blanton, we were kind of getting the same. So I think it's a role. And I think, obviously Higbee is a much better player. But I think for what they're doing, I think we'll get similar production. And you know what? Hey, if more targets go to Odell Beckham and Cooper Kupp, I call that a net win. So I don't think that hurts them. I think Kendall Blanton has done well in his brief opportunities. All right, a couple more here before I get ready for my Sirius show. It starts in a half an hour, so channel 87 on Sirius if you got that. Let's see here. Van Jefferson anytime touchdown. Again, not a full unit bet. This is a fun one, but that pays off at plus 245, which is one of the better rates of any players. But they do like to use him on the downfield passes, which could easily turn into a touchdown. He'll occasionally see the red zone target, but again, with the defense focusing on the other receivers, I really like him there to score a touchdown. And another prop, the longest field goal of the game. I definitely like Cincinnati to hit that. I think that, we saw Matt Gay drop a 48-yarder short in the conference championship game, whereas we know that McPherson could bomb from 55. And so just the range is one, but the fact that the Rams are more likely to go for it on a first down. I see a couple comments here. Let's see here. Rams winning by a field goal. Could see that. Close game. I could see that. Let's see. Scott, can either quarterback hit 300 yards? They can. It's not likely. If the game goes wild, any game could take on a life of its own. I think if they play 10 times, 8 of those times, neither quarterback hits 300. But there's always that scenario, a busted coverage and an 80-yard touchdown. That gets somebody over. A game that just gets crazy in the shootout mode. That is in this range of outcomes. Not one I project, but it's in the range. I don't think that's not a bet where I'm like, yep, definitely going to put that one down. They can hit it, unlikely to. Who is more likely to hit it? I think Burrow's more likely to hit it because Jamar Chase could break a long play or two. Higgins could break one. And so I think that would be more like, but I would not bet either of those with much confidence, although it's possible. Odell on the first score. Yeah, that's very possible. They like him in the red zone. They were playing on that wild card game, and Brian Greasy, whatever, he's saying they were in the red zone. Oh, they're looking for Higbee or Kupp. I go, no, they're not. They're going to Beckham. And right away, takes ball, single coverage, throws it right over the top, back shoulder fade, touchdown. That's a staple for them. So that's a great chance to do that. Over and under 57.5. Well, the number's 48.5, and I like the under on that. So definitely be under 57.5. Mixon over and under 23 receiving yards. Again, I think I covered this in the beginning of the show, but I do think that Joe Mixon, I don't like that Samaje Perine had more targets than Mixon in the last game. That killed a prop that I had because Mixon had been seeing like almost all the receiving work. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Perine gets 4 targets and that completely sabotaged it because Mixon was fine on his few catches. But I do think they'll throw more on early downs here to mitigate the pass rush and try. I think they're not going to have suggestions. They're not going to have the ability to run the ball well. So I think the screen game is what they need to do here. So that's, I think, what we're looking at here. Joe Mixon should go over that. I don't think it's the under. I think if they've played this 10 times, 7 times Mixon hits the over on it, making that a good bet here. Any final ones? Again, I already went. I think I went over that. A fun bet was anytime defensive, special teams touchdown by either team. I think I pretty much emptied out my clip of plays here. Now, if you're going with the sack route, the odds are not good. They're high against, but a single sack by Aaron Donald or a single sack by Von Miller, those are probably like minus 150-ish. But I do think they're excellent calls that definitely can go and work here. Any last questions before I get it set up for my Sirius show here? Scott asks, do I believe in a 2-minute offense? So what I learned in the AFC Championship game was that it was clear to me that they were viewing Perine as the pass protecting back. Their usage tipped that hand. Was it a 1-game anomaly? No. It may be what it is. Because at some point, you got to keep Burrow protected. And they have made it a habit on a lot of third downs to bring him in. And I think I'm going to get frozen on this again. All right, I think I froze out on Instagram, so I'm going to have to close that one out. All right. So anyway, I do think that Perine's going to see more third down work, 2-minute offense work. whereas I think Joe Mixon is going to see more early down, but there'll be more receptions in that pool. All right. Oh, one more fun one. Again, nowhere near a unit, $1 or $2. Eric Weddle interception, because he is going to be, the Taylor Rapp is back, the free safety, but Eric Weddle's playing full time, and there's a scenario where they're both going to play. Eric Weddle is going to be very good at reading things that the Bengals want to do. He's a super smart player. I could see him being in the right spot at the right time, so I love that. I don't have much else. Leonard Floyd sack plus 130. Again, put a little bit on that one. Sean, I do like Akers over 60. I detailed that a little earlier, so if you're watching this, you can probably rewind it when I'm done and go back. I gave a good rationale on that one, why I think he goes over that. Scott, earlier you had 4 props. You like Higgins, Mixon, Kupp, and OBJ all over. Could absolutely see those happening. OBJ should be in a good spot here. He should get targets. He runs what we call those in-breaking routes where the 3 receivers are on one side, Beckham's on the other side, and when the defense has to worry about the 3 receivers, they can only single cover Odell, so Odell can get things going there. I will repeat my overall game prediction and the line bets, and then I'll get out. So this game is -4 Rams, 48.5 over and under. What I'm going to tell you is this. If they play this game 10 times, I believe the Rams win 7. I do like the Rams to cover here. I like them to win 27-19 by an 8-point spread. So we said earlier, I would put a little bit of money on that Rams by winning by 7-12. That's a tough bet, but the odds are high. I put a low amount on it, not a unit. And I like that. And so I like the under on this game. I have it coming in about 46, but I think the scenario is maybe even lower than that. Any game could go over. We understand that. Pick 6 late, a shootout, a team falls behind, and there's garbage time. And people love to bet the overs, and I don't blame you. The public's betting the over, but I do believe the under is the way to go here. And again, the Rams -4. If you like the Bengals, take the money line. If you like the Bengals, take the money line, because the odds of them losing by 1-4, and you need those points. If they're going to win, they're going to, if you're going to like them, they may just win the game outright. So definitely consider the money line to get much better odds there. All right, everyone. Good luck. You could tweet me at Jim Coventry NFL if you have any questions. If you have SiriusXM, I will be on at 1 to 3 Eastern with Jeff Erickson on the RotoWire show. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you greatly. Enjoy the game.